It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
I think what we're seeing here, though, and this is what we would try to explain to John and Jane, hey, based on where you guys are, wanting to be parts of the FIRE movement, I don't know that the 30s is going to be your key.
No.
I don't know that being able to live the way you want, when you want, how you want, is going to be something that's attainable before 45 years of age.
That's very similar to what Financial Samurai found out as well. Doing FIRE in your 30s is going to be tough unless you've really invented something. I'm talking about coding or literally made something up. You came up with the sponge that sold on Shark Tank and it set you up for life.
Yeah, I think, so as we were kind of going through this, okay, what are some tangible takeaways from this illustration? What are the things that we want our folks to know, that we want our folks to recognize, is that FIRE is possible, but you have to be realistic about that. Now, what we did here was very, very simplified. When we actually do this with clients, we don't just say, okay, well, what are your living expenses? We ask questions like, okay, well, how often are you going to replace your cars?
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for health insurance? What's your travel budget going to look like? What are the weddings or colleges or other things you have to fund? This was a very, very simple illustration, but what it showed me is that unrealistic expectations lead to not very high probability of success outcomes.
Well, I think it's back to my measure twice, cut once. Because think about it, if you could customize this where maybe you work 10 years, and then the other option is what happens if you change what happens at age 85? Maybe, yes, you're still planning on living to be 95, but your living expenses go down significantly at 85. That's what I love about doing these type of stress test analysis, especially when you can customize it, because it lets you put in every scenario. And nothing lights up a client's eyes bigger when we can build something completely custom and let them walk through what their life is going to look like. I did have a few more takeaways.
Okay, go ahead.
FIRE is more of a 45 to 60 dream. And I think that's, like I said, I think that Financial Samurai, Sam kind of alluded to that. He realizes that because you need a few more things. It's kind of like putting a post in concrete. You know, if you try to put weight or pressure on that fence, that post, before the concrete is set, it's going to fail. And that's the way. So if you do this, think about a 35-year-old. They're trying to accelerate. They're trying to do it too early, and then they find out it's not. They didn't give enough time for their life to set the concrete of life. And I'm talking about the kids. I'm talking about the career. I'm talking about the houses. I'm talking about just making sure you know a lot of the variables. There's still going to be a lot of life that is going to be uncertain. You're not going to be able to plan for, but at least your life will be set in a lot of the different ways. The second thing I found out is you better like your day job. And it actually will make it easier. If you know you have to work to be 45 or you have to work to 50 or even 55, because remember, a 55-year-old who retires early, you're still part of the FIRE movement. You're still leaving early, but you need to have work that gives you purpose so that you don't feel like you're just stuck, just droning on every day in a job you don't like.
I don't spend a lot of time in the FIRE forums, but I feel like that's one that gets missed a lot because I'll see these young folks who say, you know what, I'm going to go out to the West Coast, I'm going to go out to the Northeast, and I'm going to work 90 hours a week, and I'm going to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, but man, I'm going to hate my life for the first 10 or 15 years. You really ought to measure, is it worth it? Or would you rather do something you enjoy more, perhaps make less, plan on working longer, but have a better quality of life? Don't you feel like you see a lot of folks who do that?
Well, I've often told, because the financial industry is very similar in the fact that you can be a rock star or you can be a builder. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people in our industry come in and you can make a gazillion dollars if you're willing to go sell and go out there and knock on doors. And it's not always the best way. I don't think it's healthy. Whereas we're kind of the slow. We're the bridge builders where we build relationships over time. And I think that's what you're alluding to is that, yes, you can go out there and work in a high-paying job. You can code. You can go do other things and work 70 hours a week. But you can only do that so long. That's the West Coast. If you want to go East Coast, you could go work as a trader or an analyst or somebody who's still going to work 70 hours a week, make great money, but you're only going to be able to do that for so long.
That's right.
Whereas maybe we're financial planners.
Yep.
You don't make great money to start off, but if you can start building that bridge before you know it, you have the potential. And this is actually a great segue into my next point. The bigger your shovel, the better. Now it's easy to get a big shovel, meaning a big income, going and doing some of these glamorous jobs with technology, with, biotech, trading, in Wall Street. But man, if you can't stick to it long enough to build it, where your purpose is or build up the nest egg, you might find that you're just miserable and you put yourself in an unhealthy position where it doesn't work out.
Yeah, a big shovel helps a ton when it comes to retiring early, but you better be able to hold that shovel up. And if it's so big that you can't stand the weight of it, meaning the stress of whatever that thing is you're doing, you might not be setting yourself up for a very enjoyable back half of your journey.
I didn't ask you to put it up, and we're kind of past the point of pulling it up on the screen, but I couldn't help but notice when you just showed the straight line of just 6% a year growth. We know that's not the way life works, but it was amazing, just the sheer power of compounding interest.
Absolutely.
Is that 6%, by the time you get into years 30s, 31, it's huge what that 6% is per year, meaning that if you leave early, there's a huge opportunity cost. So don't underestimate the power of time, because that's the thing I think a lot of people, it's all back to, if you leave the workforce at 45, you're taking out at least 10, if not 20, 25 years that your money can, not only with what you're earning and saving and putting to work in the markets, is building those army of dollar bills, but also what you've already saved and invested is building in the background. Don't underestimate the power of letting your money work for you.
The reason that 88 times over works, and the reason we give away the koozies, is because it's the time that allows that to happen. It's the 45 years that makes the 88 happen, not the dollars. And so you have to keep that in mind when it comes to building towards financial independence.
So, Bo, kind of closing out, I'll be curious to see how far absorbs this show, because this was one of those, because I love the coaching, the motivation, and I love getting people excited. And yes, there was a little bit of that here, but this one got into the weeds.
Sure.
I mean, this is kind of an experiment on our part, is that we wanted to flex the power of some of the planning software, but also give you guys who are considering, if you're part of this movement, give you a taste of the analytics that go into what we're doing also, because I really hope that you guys can absorb, or you appreciate. We try to give you some illustrations here that you can internalize this and compare and contrast to what you're doing in your own, retiring early journey.
If you saw this, you're like, man, that's really interesting. I wish I knew more about that, or I'd like to think about the planning, or I've been on this financial independence retire early journey and I'm getting close and I want someone to help me spot check that. I want to make sure that I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. Feel free to reach out to us. That's the idea of the abundance cycle. We want to load you guys up so that you can grow and grow and grow. When it does become time for you to take it to the next level, you'll remember the team that kind of helped you plant those seeds. So if you haven't had a chance, go to aboundwealth.com. You can check out all of our advisory personnel here. Go to moneyguide.com. You can see all of our free resources available out there for you guys to help you grow. We want to make sure that whatever your financial dreams are, we can help you get there.
Guys, that's the abundance cycle he just described, by the way. You come, learn, apply, grow, start off, just absorb all the free advice we give. But when you reach a level of success and complication, we'll be here waiting for you.
Absolutely.
The only thing I also would ask, you see this ticker? We are so close to 100,000. Please go subscribe. Go tell some friends, family. We have a goal of 100,000 by year end. That's not going to happen automatically. We need your help. So go subscribe on YouTube so we can reach 100,000, continue to grow this incredible thing that we've been blessed to have started in 2006. So thank you. Appreciate you going on this journey with us. I'm your host, Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen. Money Guy team out.